everyone. Welcome to Knights of Mandalore. I am Jared.
And I'm Lad.
And oh boy, did they burn the Clone Wars to the ground.
Yeah.
Literally. So we just watched the entire finale of I almost said Clone Wars, of Bad Batch. So, Lad, what'd you think of the finale real quick as a summary?
Yeah, so for episodes 15 and 16, we got to see that ending there. I think it was really interesting, just kind of seeing all the characters come together, seeing Crosshairs, seeing him. I really liked seeing him like feeling hurt by being abandoned, and just all the visual imagery of just like Camino sinking into the water.
Yeah,
I really liked that.
How they flashed to like the mess hall, the Bad Batch's room, and I'm like, oh boy. You had to know that was gonna happen.
Yeah, no, that was really crazy. It's kind of interesting because I didn't think that Crosshairs. I thought Crosshairs was gonna be like trying to kill them and everything, but he actually revealed it seemed to be that when he got hit by the cruiser's engine, it kind of maybe like damaged his chip a little bit,
and they had to take it out. Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, so that was really interesting, and seeing him. He actually wanted them kind of to join the Empire also, and he felt upset that he was left behind. It was really weird to see that he actually like chose to be with the Empire then, like he decided that after everything had been through that he wanted to be with the Empire instead now.
It's because he respected power.
Yeah,
I guess. But yeah, so in terms of how I felt about it, I felt that first off, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And they didn't do anything to set up the Clone Rebellion, which I'm a little disappointed about that. But that can be a season 2 plot, which already know we're getting a season 2. That's confirmed. But so let's see. But I liked what they did with Crosshairs, particularly when they reveal, oh yeah, I had my chip removed.
Yeah.
Like, oh boy.
He was just like, I had my chip removed for a while now or something.
Yeah, and you notice when Hunter moved his head to where the chip scar would be, it was over the engine scar. So probably burned it out, or they had to extract it or something like that.
That's true. Yeah, that was interesting to see that little bit explained there.
Yeah, so I liked how Camino basically burns down. We see a little bit more of the wildlife of Camino.
Yeah,
in form of this ginormous sea monster, this kaiju that comes out of nowhere.
Right. This turtle-looking dude or something.
And they explain it. Oh yeah, that happens all the time. But the power has when the power's on, there's like a shock security system.
Yeah. Well, I think it was really interesting to see just. It was cool to see the clones like kind of like birthing area, where the Bad Batch were kind of like enhanced a bit, but just seeing all of the like locations, but just like empty, like seeing running down the hallways with like no one else around, like there was just everything had been abandoned there, and just really showing that all the Republic and everything was completely gone at that point.
The Republic's dead at this point. Yeah. I really, really dug that. So. Let's see. So, what do you think? I like the whole training room scene where like Crosshair was actually fighting alongside the Bad Batch because Omega turns on one too many battle droids.
Yeah,
I can see that. I turned on too many.
Right. Yeah, and they like Crosshair. I really like that scene there where Tech looked over and noticed like all those little mirrors positioned.
Yeah, he was like, oh, okay.
And he had his plan set up there where he was going to take them all out in one shot, which was really cool. Which I think he only did back in the Clone Wars episode. Yeah, so people would need to remember it from there.
Yeah, he didn't do it in this series. I also liked how they made a joke about Tech going, I thought it was obvious, where like that Riker turns to Tech and he goes, why didn't you tell us this? And then Tech's like, how should I have known this?
Yeah, I like
that was so good.
That was great.
I like how they basically confirm that Omega's older than the Bad Batch, and they like so they also answered a little gripe I had with the show and resolved it, because my problem is that they're supposed to be like defective clones. My issue is that you're telling me that like they just happen to have defects that were like conducive to being super soldiers. They answered that now, so I'm like, okay, thank you. It's like they were brought to this lab where they were tailored to be soldiers. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
They
helps
finally
explain
explained that.
Yeah, that makes definitely a bit more sense.
And I like how when Omega's talking about they're going to Namaste's lab, you can tell she doesn't like being there.
Yeah. Because remember Hunter told her they would never go back there, and she definitely didn't want to go back, but she was, she wanted to save Hunter, so she was there. They found AZ1 there also. I think AZ1.
AZM.
It was interesting also that all like the medical staff and like the cloners, the important people like Nala say were taken off world, and then the Empire has plans for them for whatever they're doing.
Speaking of plans, so we're gonna come back to the rest of the episode, but I just want to talk about. So, what do you think of that ending?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, by the way. So that ending where you have first off, we see more clone commandos.
Yeah.
And we see on Daro, I'm assuming that's Daro because there's a lot of mountains and the Empire was building facilities in the mountains. We see the clone commandos escorting Namaste into a facility, and they goes, "You're going to be of great service to the Empire."
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I think they could be trying to make like, wait a second, they could be setting up the Snoke thing.
They could be. I wonder. We don't know how long that Palpatine's had all that stuff on Exegol going on for, like, because right now we're like 50 years before episode 9-ish, 20 years and then 30 years, right? So it could be, because they do use some Kaminoan cloning technology, but I wonder if they're hinting towards that, or maybe we're just going to see more of something in Bad Batch, something they're doing with cloning technology. I wonder, because like if we're gonna, cloning takes time, so I feel like the only way we'd see like the effects of Nala Se would be if we did like a time jump, or if they just showed like the beginning of a new project where they are trying to create a super soldier or just like clone a Zillo Beast or something like that.
They did hint that in Clone Wars, but they never resolved that arc. I'm like, where the hell's the Zillo Beast then?
They never said what was going to happen to Zillo Beast. Yeah, they never picked it up in Rebels or anything like that again.
I think what they're going to use her for is to recreate the Bad Batch, but totally loyal to the Empire. No, it's make Imperial super soldiers.
Yeah, that could be a possible thing. Like, something, related to the Mandalorians, like how their strength level. I wanted to see if that person at the very end, if anyone knows who that person is at the very end there.
Oh, the one who Doctrine says you'll be a great service to the Empire.
Yeah. Like, let's see. Like,
I'm not sure if it's been a named character.
Yeah, it may not be a named character at this point, but because they showed up on Daro, and we saw like a ton of those TK troopers and clone commandos.
It was only clone commandos, I thought.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, it was just the clone commandos, and they all they all abandoned the Republic. Also, like, they turned for the Empire because most of them probably don't have. Do you think they have the chip? Most of those clone commandos, or
chips? That's a good question. I'm pretty sure commandos never got the chip.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, I wonder if she had. Okay, so it looks like the new character just credited as a medical officer.
Okay. It could be she's going to be important in season 2, because I get the feeling that season 2 is going to so how in season 1 they sort of split time between the Bad Batch and Crosshair. I feel like now they're going to split time between the Bad Batch and whatever Namaste is doing.
Yeah, because someone else mentioned that here that the medical officer, the cloning technology, certain officers wear those type of uniforms, like Galen Erso, chief, engineer, scientist, and one of them people that wore those outfits is also Moff Gideon's people, like some of his, that cloner guy that was helping him, and maybe we see some setup for whatever, because we still don't know what Gideon's trying to do with the blood, right, of Grogu.
Plus, they could be saying up Grogu because Grogu is like 50 years old.
Yeah,
that'll be exactly like where it lines up.
They said I think he was like 50 or 55 or something like that. But we're going right now. We're only 20 years. We're like 25 years before Mandalorian.
Oh, okay.
So he'd be, but he'd still be pretty young, at this point. We don't know what happened to him.
He'd be a whippersnapper.
Yeah.
But okay, so because I'm thinking about what clone things have been set up in the sequel in the post episode 6 era that would explain this, or like in the Star Wars era in general that would explain it.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Let's see what else could. Okay, so again, I liked how the Bad Batch is fighting alongside. I like how Crosshair was just hanging out with them, but critiquing their every single move. He's like, "This is why you don't put a child in charge."
Right. I thought it was kind of interesting seeing him like he was also pretty bent out of shape after everything that happened, and he definitely had some of those emotional felt emotionally damaged by them. Like that they were left him, that he's always kind of different than the rest of them. And it's kind of interesting because I thought that they were going to work through their problems a little bit, which they did, and then he was going to join them. But I kind of like that it wasn't cliche-ish, that like everything's resolved already.
I knew he wasn't going to join them. He just seemed too much on the Empire side, and he was like, okay, they gave no indication he was considering leaving.
Yeah, I think you're right. So I think that's interesting. I wonder, where do you think like Crosshair's character is going to go from here? Because they probably got picked up by the Empire.
I think season 2 he gets picked up by the Empire, and then season 2 maybe near the end is where he defects because in season 2 he could probably learn that Hunter was right. They'll only see you as a number. They don't see you as a soldier, and like they're not gonna like help him. The Empire is gonna like sideline him.
Yeah.
Because remember, the Empire does not want clones whatsoever. Eventually, they'll say, you're done.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting because, Hunter said that we can be on opposite sides. We don't have to be enemies, like, because now
we can have our disagreements. We don't have to be enemies.
Like, if he's going to go work with the Empire, the question is, who's hunting the Bad Batch down anymore? Because there shouldn't be any more bounty hunters trying to, get Omega, because there's no one left to hunt her down. Kaminoans are gone, and the Empire thinks that they're dead, and they're not even really interested in with this defective group anymore unless they start attacking them. So right now, I think the Bad Batch is like kind of free from the Empire and the Republic and people that are hunting them. Like,
it'd be a good time for them to go check out Rex, see what he's doing,
see what Rex is doing. And I kind of
season 2, the whole arc could be the Clone Rebellion.
Yeah. And I wonder if Crosshairs will probably just tell the Empire that, the rest of them died, or, he kind of like,
maybe
because he said, we don't have to be enemies. So maybe he just kind of like won't talk about them, and he just serves the Empire. And as long as they don't mess with them, it's kind of wondering, what is the Bad Batch going to do now? Are they going to try to just survive on their own? Are they going to try to rebel against the Empire? And if they do that, they're going to come across paths with, Crosshairs again.
Yeah, most likely. Because we got like a lot of Crosshair character development in these 2 episodes, to the point where it could conceivably go that way. But once again, I think season 2 Crosshair is gonna die or join or rejoin maybe not join the Bad Batch, but be part of the Clone Rebellion.
Could be, yeah.
Because I feel like at one point, at this point, he's burned that bridge. So I feel like now he's just going to be his own guy.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, are we going to see? You mentioned like the Clone Rebellion again. Like, I wonder how that could appear in the show, because we saw the clones were transported off Camino. There's no more new clones being created. Where are we going to see the clones that are left? Because there's still quite a few clones left in the galaxy. Are they all being swept into the 501st? Or are they going to see them more stationed in different places? Are they going to just
I think they'll station them in all the really like not desirable assignments, like all the backwater plans, just to keep them out of the way.
Yeah.
And then that's going to anger the clones, saying, we serve the Republic and the Empire. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I thought so at one point we were watching the episode, and I was like, okay, so what are we going to do? So how are the Bad Batch going to get out of this? I thought Kanan was going to save them. That'd be a nice way to like bookend the whole season, because it started with him, kind of.
Yeah, that'd been kind of cool if someone showed up at the end, but
the Force lifted the 2.
Yeah, I guess this time around, no one comes in to rescue the heroes at the end of the season. It's on their own.
Yeah. But so Lad brought up something very interesting. So to escape from the underwater facility, they hop in these glass tubes, float up, and then so the droid turns off because he's out of power, and then Omega just jumps out of her tube to go save him. Lad, what did you think of that supremely stupid move?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm a big Omega supporter, but like it feels a bit like much to kind of try to do that. I mean, because like I know they do care for the droids also, and that is her friend, but I feel like it's I don't know, like a bit extreme to jump out of the tube because like you're
First off,
basically
the
gonna
pressure
die.
would kill her.
I feel like it's guaranteed to die, you know. But you know, she had a good spirit, I guess you could say. But yeah, it was like I feel like it would have been. I feel like it makes almost her look a little like crazy, like a level of like
Bad Batch crazy.
yeah, like I feel like it would have been even a little bit better if the she was really she was like, no, the droid's sinking in the water, and then like her canister starts to get more cracks from all the rocks that had hit it before, and it cracks open, and then she's already forced to she's like so it's cracking open, she's kind of forced to get out, and so she decides to try to swim and reach the droid because she's already forced out
because
to,
instead of just hitting the button,
yeah,
like, so she happened to be out. I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah, I feel like that's a little bit like pushing her character a little bit. Like
I agree. That was the one part of this episode where I was like, okay, I'm gonna like I'm calling BS on this particular part.
But
that makes no sense.
But
overall, I will say pretty good finale.
Yeah,
not as good as Clone Wars because they ended with the Siege of Mandalore in episode 3, but still really, really cool.
Yeah, no, I think they did a really good job. I love like the scenery of Camino. That whole like escaping Camino was really, really interesting to see that, and kind of seeing the group restructure, and they're like, okay, we're gonna go now, and then Crosshair, they're like their conflict is kind of resolved a little bit, but he's still decided he's gonna go serve the Empire now. But he's not gonna be trying to necessarily kill them or anything.
Once again, I got major hit in the feels when the Star Destroyers are about to fire on the facility, and then they flash to all of those rooms. You have the mess hall, the thing. Because as someone who grew up watching Clone Wars, I was like, oh man.
Yeah, I know. It's just like all the times we've seen Camino, and now that's it.
Gone.
That's it. And I kind of wonder, I guess there aren't really other Kaminoan bases like and stuff, I guess, or I wonder if that's
they did show one, but there's not that many that are active. I think.
I wonder, like, I mean, because that was obviously like a laboratory, so I wonder if there's actually Kaminoans that live like in, I don't know, like underwater domes or something like the Gungans on other parts of the planet, because that was definitely a research, like Stark Industries or Tesla laboratories building.
It'd be hilarious if the Kaminoans were on Naboo the whole time. They were just next door, like, oh hey neighbor.
Yeah, just like, hey, it's just right there next to the Gungan.
That'd be hilarious. And Jar Jar knew the entire time, and then when they asked Jar Jar, you didn't ask. You said didn't ask.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I wonder if we'll ever if we'll see a future episode we go back to Camino to kind of like they need to find some, I don't know, some information that was left in a computer, like in the wreckage or something.
Well, that computer's probably destroyed at this point.
Yeah, by this point, probably.
It was just so surreal seeing Camino fall, because it's like, well, here's the thing. Now they have to do the Clone Rebellion different than they did in Battlefront 2, because they can't have the battle take place on Camino. They can't do the Force Unleashed 2 because the first mission's on Camino.
They can't use that stage anymore
unless they build a new cloning facility, but I highly doubt the Empire is going to do that.
That's true. Yeah, because we definitely saw like they took the facilities over to.
It's like as soon as the Empire leaves, all the Kaminoans that had the little labs everywhere just show up and just rebuild the base.
Right. Yeah.
Like they go, nope, it's unretconned.
Man, I feel like now I kind of wonder what happened to Lama Su. Like, did they executed him? I imagine. Then I mean, they said they didn't need a politician.
Most likely, based on the fact I don't need a politician. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they just lined him up.
Yeah, man.
I'm pretty sure everyone that was non-essential were like.
Yeah, so there's no evidence against the Empire and everything that happened there.
And they don't need anyone like instilling rebellion, because I get that feeling that Admiral Stuck Up, I love that name, knew that it wasn't just like Lama Say that was like that was moving the medical personnel. It was 100% under direction by the Lama Say. So I keep forgetting these people.
Yeah. Well, I guess now
I'm turning into Tyler.
Yeah, but no, I think you're right. I think, I wonder when we could see Nala say again, like if it would be like in season 2 at some point, or
Probably
would it be
season 2.
something farther down the road where they
Season 2.
bring her up again? Because if it's actually on the same planet as they had the War Mantle episode, then we may see her again, more, more recently, or sooner than later.
Yeah, definitely. I think we'll see her in season 2. By the way, I was wanting to say one of my favorite parts of the episode is where the clone is reporting to Admiral Stuck Up that the facility has been destroyed, and his voice kind of catches.
Yeah,
because it's a clone.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah.
That must have been rough watching that go down.
Yeah, I saw a few clones in the the pilots area or like the cannons, but you saw like starting some regular people just joining the conscription service, and they are serving the Empire now. And I wonder if we're gonna see more of these characters, see more we're gonna see less and less clone troopers, to see more TKs.
And that could be what sets off the clone rebellion, because they want to save their race from extinction.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder, you know what I just realized is we haven't been explained what happened to Captain Hauser yet. Why we didn't get an answer on that? That's true. We didn't get an answer on that. Like we were saying, in all reality, he probably got off, but that's true. We were saying that maybe it's like in chips wear out or something like that, and maybe that same thing would happen with Crosshair as chip wears out. But we saw Crosshair actually got his chip removed, so Hauser's a complete anomaly. And we could say, oh, maybe he just didn't have a chip because that's why he had his colors. But his other troops also sided with him. So what's the deal with that? If it were just Hauser, I'd be like, yeah, his chip probably. Yeah, but the other the other troops. And I'm like, what? I just realized that the minute the other troops throw the guns down, you're like, wait a second. Yeah, that's a really good question. Now I just realized we did not get an answer to that. Maybe we'll get an answer in season 2. Maybe what Rex is doing is he's going around finding all the clones who've been in prison for disobeying Order 66, and then they'll retcon. It's more than you think. That's true. Boy, where do you think we're gonna go from here? Like, that's the question now. We saw the characters, Crosshair's bandana has been resolved. He's no longer being kind of resolved. Like, he's no longer being mind controlled, and he's not, trying to kill them and hunt them down. And the Empire is not pursuing the Bad Batch anymore. So they're kind of like a little bit free. They're like free right now. Freer, yeah. And they, Hunter does not want to get back into fighting against the Empire. Like he doesn't agree with the Empire, but he doesn't really want to go out there like Rex is probably doing, and they have Omega with them, and they're, are they just going to try to survive? Are they going to, join up with Rex and start rebelling? What do you think they're going to do? I think they're going to join up with Rex and start rebelling, or at least just go with Rex because there's strength in numbers. That's an option. And okay, I got an idea. Do you think we could see a time jump now? Because where we ended it, because it would be a good place to put a time jump. Because think of it, the idea of Bad Batch was to really show, right after the Empire takes over, seeing that transition. And we saw a lot of big events like Camino being destroyed, the cloning being shut down, different worlds, like the numbering system, your credits being turned into imperial credits, you getting like a number that, like designates if you're a registered citizen. We saw a lot of, the changing galaxy. So I feel like they've almost done the job that they set out to do initially with the Bad Batch. And we've seen the characters, Crosshairs, has no longer chasing them, and they're off free now. So is it possible we see a time jump like 2 or 3 years or something? Or it could be a time jump into the Rebels time period. Oh yeah. I wonder, like, I feel like they may keep it closer to episode 3, but they could jump like and get us into the Rebels series. Yeah, just saying, they could do something like that. Because remember, Rebels is a sequel to Clone Wars, much like Bad Batch. Yeah, that's true. They could have a couple episodes take place during Rebels episode, and they reference, oh, these guys went to a Sith temple on this planet. They discovered Darth Maul or Vader, and it's just them like. And it's just them like hanging out with Rex and recounting and stuff.
because that'll be an interesting time jump.
Yeah, I really wonder if we could see a time jump, because then Omega could be older and she could fight alongside them. We get her own armor, and
she could finally get her Bad Batch armor.
Finally get her Bad Batch armor, right? And we could actually see the characters. Maybe they're hiding out for a little while, and then they decide to join Rex, or like the question is like, what is their mission now? Because they, Hunter doesn't want to fight against the Empire just yet, and Echo was saying that maybe we should. For now the Empire isn't hunting them down anymore with crosshairs, so we're really kind of left wide open what's going to happen next.
It could be the Bad Batch breaks up, and that Echo goes to find Rex. Hunter takes Omega somewhere, and maybe Tech and Wrecker go with Echo.
Right, that's true. Yeah. That's a good point. We could see something like that, like a split mission or something like that. Yeah, I really wonder what's gonna happen now, because they're not on the run as much anymore.
Technically not. Or it could be they're on the run from Cad Bane, who's pissed off from their last encounter. He wants payback.
That's true.
What if Cad Bane's the main antagonist in season 2? That'd be dope.
That'd be really cool. But yeah, I guess we really don't have a hint. Like, I know when Mando season 2 ended, they really kind of finished off a lot of storylines, but we still had and Grogu being sent to the Jedi, that wrapped up a good storyline. But we still had the question of, what does Moff Gideon want with the blood of Grogu? Because he said, I got what I wanted. He probably sent it somewhere, right? And 2, he has the Darksaber now, and that gives him a right to the throne of Mandalore. So he's going to get maybe involved with all that politics of the Mandalorians, or maybe have Bo-Katan as a villain possibly. So
because she wants that saber, bro.
Yeah. So we have a bit of, a little bit of a hint of what we could do for season 3 of Mandalorian there. But for Bad Batch right now, I feel like
we don't have anything.
We don't have anything. The only thing that we have unresolved is Captain Hauser. Hauser.
And the clones, and why all of a sudden it turns off.
Right. Why did they turn off? And
because previous to the Bad Batch, all we knew was that the chip stays on the entire time when they turn to robots.
Right. And we were saying that maybe Crosshairs was changing, and that showed that it could wear out. But then we saw, okay, he got his chip taken care of. So
I'm not so sure I believe him though.
Really?
Because he kept holding his head.
That's a good question that he kept
I'm like, wait a second.
It could be that his chip was just damaged by the ion blast. So maybe it's still
and
there.
They told him it was off and stuff.
Maybe.
Because I'm like, wait a second. Last time you were holding your head, you had the chip in.
That's true. He was doing that. The thing is, also Omega walked over to him and said that I thought it was the chip, but it was really that you are kind of like a douchebag.
Well, it could be she. It could be she believes him, and the Bad Batch believes him.
Yeah, and maybe he doesn't even really. It could be the chip is still there, influencing him a little bit.
It could be half out, half.
Yeah, but he's not it doesn't control. Maybe affects him. But it's not controlling him anymore the way it used to be doing, and. Yeah, I guess we don't have a full answer on that, because you're right. We did see him quite a few times where he was holding his head, he wasn't sure about something still. But
yeah, I'm like, wait a second, why are you doing this, dude? Why are you doing this?
Oh man, no, that's a good question. We still that is something that needs to be answered possibly.
Yeah. So like you said, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered for this series, because. I have no idea. Beyond the Clone Rebellion, that's all I think that we could get beyond the Clone Rebellion, and a time jump into the Rebels time period or closer to that.
Yeah,
it could be that it's the Bad Batch that covertly put the Ghost Crew together.
Yeah, maybe something
like they arranged circumstance. All of a sudden we have an episode where it's Sev and then it's Sabine.
Yeah,
or we could get more Delta Squad members.
That's true. Scorch is a traitor, filthy traitor, though.
As far as we know.
And also Gregor is just chilling at Sid's place right now. Yeah, that's what they said.
Yes, that's so good.
Man, yeah, there's definitely some. I mean, they have a lot of options they can explore with this.
So many options.
We could just see more of the Empire taking over. We could do time jumping a little bit, see more of the middle of when the Empire's already has more established control. Or we jump all the way to Rebels time period where there's actually a stronger rebellion force that's starting to show up on the field. So
yeah, I could definitely see that happening. But I guess that's a good place to leave it on that. And we'll be sure to I wonder what are we going to talk about next week for Star Wars?
Oh man,
we'll think of something. Don't worry.
Is Star Wars over?
Is Star Wars over?
Yeah.
We'll think of something. Don't worry. All right. Remember, hand shot first.
McClunky.